The timeless pages of the Bible hold tales of faith, courage, and divine love that continue to capture our hearts and minds. Yet, amidst these cherished stories, there's one often overshadowed by more prominent figures. The story of Keturah, Abraham's forgotten wife. Hers is a name whispered softly, or perhaps not at all, in the narrative of our faith. You may find it surprising that despite years of studying the Bible, many remain unaware of her existence, much less her significance. This video will journey into the scriptures to explore the life, love, and legacy of Keturah. We will examine the hidden layers of her story to uncover why she is perhaps the most ignored, yet profoundly significant character in the Bible. Keturah's story is quietly nestled within the pages of the book of Genesis. But who really was she? The Bible briefly introduces us to this character in Genesis 25:1, where it mentions Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. Her identity, however, isn't as clear-cut. Some scholars and readers propose an interesting theory, that Keturah might be none other than Hagar, Sarah's maidservant, who bore Abraham's child, Ishmael. This theory speculates that Hagar's name may have changed after her union with Abraham. But there's a counter-argument that presents Keturah as a different woman altogether. The use of the phrase "another wife" in Genesis implies a distinction between Sarah and Keturah. The Bible doesn't provide a straightforward answer to this, leaving room for interpretation. Next, let's turn our attention to another intriguing aspect of her story: her children. The biblical account says Keturah bore 6 sons to Abraham: Zimran, Jokshan, Midan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua, as mentioned in Genesis 25:2-4. While these names may not be as familiar as those of other biblical figures, their significance lies in the regions they settled and the peoples they eventually became associated with. Zimran, for instance, is briefly mentioned, and there are no detailed records of his descendants in the Bible. Jokshan's line has a more significant presence, with his sons settling in regions known for their agricultural and trading activities. As we peel back the layers of Keturah's story, we begin to see her profound significance in the life of Abraham. After Sarah's passing, Keturah became more than just a wife. She became a key figure in the continuation of Abraham's lineage. Genesis 25:1 tells us that after Sarah's death, Abraham took Keturah as his wife. Their union was not in vain. In verses 2-4, we discover that God blessed Keturah and Abraham with 6 children, and these blessings extended well beyond their immediate family. Genesis 25:6 records that Abraham gave gifts to his sons from Keturah and sent them away to the land of the east. These blessings were not mere footnotes in the Bible. Keturah's children became progenitors of significant tribes, notably the Midianites. One of the most notable instances is when Moses fled Egypt and found refuge in the land of Midian. It was there that he encountered Jethro, a priest of Midian, and eventually married his daughter, Zipporah. This encounter in Exodus 2:15-22 marked a critical turning point in Moses' life, leading him to become the liberator of the Israelites. But Keturah's legacy doesn't stop there. Abraham, the father of nations, is known for his significant role in God's plan, and Keturah, as his second wife, played a vital part in the fulfillment of this divine promise. Through her, God continued to bless and multiply Abraham's descendants, shaping the destiny of nations and individuals. So we must recognize the profound impact she had on the continuation of the Abrahamic lineage. Her story is a testament to the delicate interplay of characters and events in the Bible, reminding us that even the seemingly lesser-known figures can hold a remarkable place in God's plan. Midian is another name that holds a more prominent place in the biblical account. His descendants, known as the Midianites, are featured in several stories, particularly concerning Moses and the Exodus. You can find more about this in the book of Exodus, chapters 2 and 3. Now let's turn our focus to a compelling aspect of Keturah's story, the scriptural evidence of God's blessing upon her and her children. To understand this, we must explore Genesis 25:6, a passage that sheds light on the divine perspective of Keturah and her role in the grand scheme of God's promises to Abraham. In these verses, we read about an intriguing act by Abraham, where he gave gifts to the sons of Keturah and sent them away to the land of the east while he was still alive. But significantly, he did something else. Abraham gave everything he had to Isaac, his son with Sarah. This act of apportioning his wealth between his 2 sets of children seems to signify more than just a division of earthly possessions. It hints at a deeper spiritual context. Consider this act in the context of God's blessing. We can't help but ponder whether this division symbolizes divine approval. Could it be a sign of God's favor and blessing on Keturah's children? This is a question that's open to interpretation, and the Bible doesn't provide a direct answer. But it raises profound theological implications. After all, Abraham was the recipient of God's covenant and promises, and these blessings were traditionally thought to be passed on through his lineage. However, we can't ignore the fact that God's blessings often manifest in unexpected ways. Abraham's decision to give gifts to Keturah's children and send them away might, to some, suggest that he believed God's blessings were not limited to Isaac alone. In the broader context of God's covenant with Abraham, this act brings forth thought-provoking questions. Could it be that God's blessings flowed through the diverse branches of Abraham's family tree? Was Keturah, a woman often overlooked in biblical discussions, also a channel for God's divine blessings? When we contemplate the blessings bestowed upon Keturah's children, we must consider their significance not just for her descendants, but within the grand scheme of God's divine plan. Especially because this theme of God's blessings unfolding in unexpected ways is not unique to Keturah's story. Throughout the Bible, we encounter numerous instances where God's favor defies human expectations. It's a reminder that God's plans are beyond our comprehension, and His blessings can flow to those we may least expect. A perfect example of this can be found in the story of the birth of Isaac, as told in Genesis 18:9-15. Sarah had long passed her childbearing years, and the idea of her conceiving a child seemed impossible. Yet God's promise defied these human expectations. He assured Abraham that Sarah would indeed have a son. This encourages us to question our assumptions about God's blessings and consider the amazing ways in which His plans unfold in the most unexpected of manners. Another lesson. Keturah's story teaches us to embrace new beginnings. Life is a series of chapters, and when one ends, another begins. Just as Keturah's life brought new blessings to Abraham after Sarah's passing, we should be open to the possibilities that come with transitions in our own lives. Each new chapter can be full of promises and unexpected blessings. Keturah's diverse lineage also serves as a powerful reminder. Her children settled in various regions, and through them, we witness the celebration of diversity in God's plan. In our lives, we should recognize that God's blessings are meant for all people, regardless of their background. It's a beautiful testament to the inclusivity of God's love and grace. One of the most moving lessons we draw from Keturah's story is that being overlooked doesn't mean being insignificant. Keturah may not be as well known as Sarah or other prominent biblical figures, but her role in God's plan was crucial. In our daily lives, this reminds us to look beyond the surface, to understand that everyone has a unique story and value. We should remember that even the quietest voices can carry the most powerful messages. In the forgotten character of Keturah, we find a story that adds depth and intrigue to the scriptures. The mystery surrounding her identity, her blessings, and her diverse lineage have much to reveal. As we conclude our journey today, reflect on the unique role Keturah played in the continuation of God's promises, expanding the horizon of Abraham's legacy in ways that challenge our preconceptions. We also encourage you to explore other lesser-known biblical characters. You'll find that their stories can lead to a richer understanding of the Bible, and indeed, life as a whole. Thank you for joining us today. We hope Keturah's story has left you with new perspectives, and we invite you to share your thoughts, questions, and interpretations in the comments section. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.